This week at Saravji, I am continuing evaluating the certification Google Cloud Professional Machine Learning Engineer, going into week 4. I have the first answers for this course. I have a continuation with the struggles of the technology behind the labs, as well as the first actual concerning content in the course. So let's dive in. Welcome back to Saravji. This week, exploring certification Google Cloud Professional Machine Learning Engineer. Week 4, I am going to be able to answer the first questions in regards to these materials, as well as give an update on the ongoing difficulties with the learning platform, and lastly, some questionable content in the course materials that I need to put a question mark behind the value of what actually is being taught in this particular instance. So let's dive in. Let's get started with the first answers to the materials. And what I can talk to and answer about is how suitable these materials are for novices. I want to break down this question into 3 subparts, talking about the specific cloud platform, so in this case Google Cloud, principal cloud platform, so cloud computing or distributed computing in general terms, and then last but not least, are these materials suitable for novices to the industry? I'll start with the bottom question here. The materials that I have seen so far, I know last week I said they're still a little bit scratching just on the surface and they're not going very deep. This changed a little bit with the last couple courses that I did go through. In those, I actually have to say that it is not suitable. These materials are no longer suitable for novices to the industry. Reason being is that a lot of the principles and underlying architectures, methods, applications that is being touched on in those materials, it is simply expected that whoever is participating in these courses to go for the certification knows what this is about. Kind of these materials are based on, once you know what they're talking about, you know what they're talking about. But they're not based on getting to know what they're talking about. So a lot of the background information, underlying information, foundational information is, quite frankly, simply missing out of these materials. Without having previous knowledge, it is going to be very tough with these materials to actually follow and get this knowledge. The same is true for principal cloud platform. So these materials are not suitable for somebody who has never worked on a cloud platform, who has no knowledge about cloud platform or distributed computing. It is simply expected that you know the terms, you know the technologies that is being talked about without in any way introducing them or explaining them. So it is expected when they're talking about a Hadoop cluster or a running Spark on a Hadoop cluster, for example, that is simply what is expected, but it's not explained. What does this actually mean? What is behind that? And so on. What does somebody who doesn't know need to know to understand what this means? This knowledge is a prerequisite for these materials, and because of that, these materials are not suitable for novices to cloud platform in principle. Now, the top question, I am assuming that somebody who is new to this specific platform, in this case Google Cloud, but has prior knowledge to cloud computing or distributed computing, are these materials suitable for these kinds of novices? So you have knowledge or experience on a on-premise distributed computing cluster, or you have knowledge coming from AWS, or knowledge coming from Azure or any other of the cloud providers. How suitable are these materials for you working on Google Cloud Platform? And the materials in this case are doing a very good job to actually lead you up to the Google Cloud Platform, explaining the Google Cloud Platform, making it explorable and enjoyable. So in that regard, the materials are very good. If you are new to the Google Cloud Platform but have experience in these kinds of technologies from somewhere else previously, then these materials are perfectly suitable. As previously, the issues with the lab execution, with the platform, the learning platform lab execution, are ongoing. I am still in contact, a relatively frequent contact with the customer service rep, with the support folks. These issues are ongoing. They are a pretty big nuisance, because I'm spending 3 hours, 4 hours wasting because of these issues a week at the moment. It also means that I can't really plan for a lab to end when the official end time is, because sometimes, simply because of the issues, the lab rest time is getting reset. And this also means if a lab is 1.5 hours, I can't put it into a slot with 1.5 hours, because I don't know if I actually can complete the lab that times out after 1.5 hours in the 1.5 hours, or if I need another half hour behind it. I like the Google Cloud Platform itself. I like the approaches that Google has been taking there, so I really appreciate the result there. The learning platform is a completely different story, and I want to very strictly and very clearly differentiate between the two. So the platform issues that I'm talking about are not related to Google Cloud. They are related to the Quick Labs platform that you use and that you work on to go through the learning materials and the learning labs. And those are definitely quite a number of issues that need to be resolved there. Last, I want to talk about some questionable teachings and learnings in one of the labs that I have seen so far. In this particular lab, there is a machine learning model being built for a data set. I know that data set pretty well because I actually worked with this data set a couple of years ago during a Kaggle competition. So I spent a lot of time with this particular data set, and I'm very familiar with the challenges that this data set actually poses. And one of the challenges is, so the data set is about Google online, I think it is online store transactional data. Ask is to predict if a visitor is going to be doing a purchase, and then as a secondary step you could go and predict the amount of this future purchase. The issue with this particular data set is that it is very imbalanced. I think it's only about 2.4% or 2.6% that are actually purchases, or even less, might be even at 1.9%, something like that. So it is about 98% of the data is no purchase, 1-2% is actual purchase. In order for a machine learning model to be good here, you actually need to do better than if you would be going and just label everything as no purchase. If you label the whole data, your complete prediction set, as no purchase, then you are 98% accurate with this data set. Because you cover the 98%, which are the big majority here. And this is an extreme challenge in this data set. And the first machine learning models that you're actually building in that lab have a precision of 69%. Okay, so you're doing much worse than if you actually would be going in there and actually just labeling everything as no purchase. Even the relatively advanced models that then are being built are only getting to about 91%, roughly 93%. So it is still much worse than if you actually would be everything labeled as no purchase at all. And this is then actually being considered a pretty good result in those learning materials. So in this case, what basically is being taught is you're just looking at a machine learning model. You're not looking at how does the result that you're achieving actually look in relation to what the data is telling you. So that is completely omitted in those materials. That is just wrong on so many levels that it is. I don't know how these materials could get put into the official curriculum. And then the challenge part of the lab is actually going to be using an XGBoost algorithm to really push the boundaries of what can be done on the platform. Funnily enough, the moment I was actually running this, the example solution in XGBoost did 100% forecast of there is not going to be any purchase. And that then, of course, did get a pretty good result. But I don't need a machine learning model and a machine learning platform and a cloud computing platform to actually get to this result if I consider everything is no purchase, and if somebody is actually buying something, I'm pleasantly surprised because I wasn't expecting that. In summary, the content of this course is highly questionable. I would say that this data set is just not a candidate to be used in this kind of setting to actually explain machine learning or machine learning capabilities on the platform. For that, you need a different data set. This data set has its challenges. It is very interesting to work with, but that is a completely different topic because of how this data set in particular looks. So it is a challenge to actually work with it, and that is definitely worth looking into, but not at the beginning end of exploring the platform. This is a complete advanced topic, and that this data set actually was being used in a Kaggle competition tells you that yes, it is a challenge to work with that. In my opinion, it is unsuitable for one of the earlier courses to get introduced to machine learning on Google Cloud Platform. With this, I conclude for today. Thanks for visiting me at Saravji's hut, and I will be back next week with the next update. I appreciate you dropping by. Please subscribe. I'm done here. Fire to that.